Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. Appreciate you taking our time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Much appreciated. Now, a few videos ago, we talked about Road Rash, and some people said that game was absurd. So I thought to myself, I know a game that's very similar, but a little more absurd, and something that I thought was such a cool game back in the day. I'm talking about Skitchin. So first and foremost, what is Skitchin, right? Skitchin is a combination of skating and hitching. And it is something that I have a little experience with. Now you got to understand that in the 90s, rollerblades, at least in my circle, were seen as being pretty cool, right? For lack of a better term, X Games had almost got started. Skateboarding was always a thing that took a lot of skill that I wasn't really willing to put that type of work in. But rollerblades are right there. And play Streets of Rage 2. Skate got rollerblades on. So even though I couldn't play with Skate in my household because that's Ron's character and I'm not allowed to touch him, I always liked rollerblades. And Skitchin, when my brother told me about this game where you're racing like Road Rash, but you're on rollerblades and you get to grab the back of cars and slingshot your way through the race, I was like, oh buddy, I am in, sign me up. And that's the game, right? It's not a deep game. It's not a, multi-level, super faceted game. It is a game about skating and hitching. And if you get higher on the races, you get more money. That way you can repair your equipment, because if you're like me, you're probably going to fall a lot and damage your stuff, which slows your speed down, which means it's harder to win the races. And that's Skitchin in a nutshell. And the game itself is pretty solid. I mean, the controls are pretty good. You can actually, do what you want to do when you're moving around. It actually controls better than Road Rash, if I'm being honest with you. I know that might sound crazy, but it really does, even though it's made by EA, same company that made Road Rash. I always felt like this game played better, and playing them both recently again, I will say Skitchin plays better. It does take a second to get used to the controls and how you hitch onto vehicles. As you can see, I had a lot of trouble trying to hitch onto my first one. But once I got back to Skitchin, right, got back to my roots, where it all started and to the elements of it, I found myself again. I was able to start sketching and making moves and getting better positions. And, I even won a race, because when it comes down to it, I'm a sketcher by nature and in my heart, right? And why did I want to show you this game other than the complete absurdity? Well, sometimes art imitates life. And I'm going to share a story with you about when I actually did some sketching in real life to some degree, right? So I was about 10 years old, living in Benton Harbor, Michigan. To give you a brief backdrop of what Benton Harbor was like during that time, just picture Detroit from RoboCop with no RoboCop, right? All bad with no sign of good. But anyway, it's the summer. We out of school. I got my rollerblades. I'm feeling myself. And this kid in my neighborhood, for some reason, had a go-kart. And I'm like, okay, cool. I might not be able to do no sketching on no real car, but I definitely could do it on this go-kart. So I told him, like, yo, I'm gonna grab the back of your go-kart. You just pull me along, and this is gonna be fun. I had no exit strategy or no game plan. I just, that was my plan. I was gonna be sketching on the back of a go-kart. So he starts going, and at first it's all right. I'm holding on, and he's not going too fast, so it's cool. And then he starts picking up speed, and I start to realize real quickly that the skates that I have are not professional grade skates. These are regular retail store skates. I can feel my wheels shaking, and I'm not feeling real comfortable about what's going on in my skates right now. And at the same time, he decides to turn left really fast, and he turns left, and I keep going straight. And next thing I know, I am rolling down the street at a very high speed. I don't know exactly the miles per hour, but it was fast enough. And I get up, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm good. I look a little crazy, but I'm straight for the most part. And I look at my shoulder, and there is gravel all the way down my arm from my shoulder. So I'm like, oh, I got to brush that off. And I knock some of the gravel off my shoulder, and a lot of skin goes with it. All I can see is pink under the gravel. And I start freaking out because I'm 10. And I go to my mom, and she's like, what were you doing? And I had two choices. I could tell the truth, and say that I was skitching, which sounds preposterous. The moment she asked me what I was doing, I knew what I was doing sounded crazy. Or I could make up something. But you know what? It's best to tell the truth. So I told my mom. I said, Mom, I was skitching. My mom paused for about 5 seconds and she looked at me crazy. And she said, what is that? I was holding on the back of a go-kart while it was going down the street and I got slung on the ground. She looked at me and she said, good. And she put some alcohol on my wound and it stung a lot. And at that moment I knew I deserved it, so I took it on the chin and I never sketched again. But I can always live vicariously through this Sega Genesis game. I'm pretty sure you've never heard of Skitchin, but if you have, please let me know in the comments. Also, what do you think about Skitchin? Is it something that you would have played back then, or are you interested in playing it now? Either way, let me know. Appreciate you checking out the video. Y'all be safe. Y'all have fun. Peace.